The Stargate franchise didn't just end, it evaporated. One minute we were exploring the universe, the next darkness. When Stargate Universe went offline, the official narrative stopped dead. Millions of fans were left screaming at their televisions, desperate for closure. Desperate for one last trip through the wormhole. The cameras stopped rolling. The sets were struck. But the canon kept going, hidden in the archives. 12 missions, recorded between 2008 and 2012. Featuring the original voices, Daniel Jackson, Teal'c Vala, Maldoran, even Janet Fraser. But due to a licensing collapse, these files were purged, pulled from shelves, deleted from stores. They are effectively lost media. Today, we are declassifying the lost missions of SG-1. These aren't audiobooks. They are the tactical reports of what happened in the dark. For the uninitiated, Big Finish Productions is the industry titan famous for keeping Doctor Who alive during its wilderness years. In the late 2000s, they attempted to execute the same protocol for Stargate. This wasn't a cheap cash grab. They secured the primary assets. Michael Shanks, Christopher Judge, Claudia Black, Terrell Rothery, they returned to the booth to record full-cast audio dramas. These 12 stories were released in 3 distinct waves. Series 1 and 2 operate as standalone Mission of the Week Files Classic SG-1 adventures that fit neatly between episodes. Series 3, however, attempts something much more ambitious. It builds a serialized arc involving a conspiracy within the SGC itself. But here is the problem. When MGM's financial situation imploded, the license lapsed. You cannot buy these officially anymore. The physical CDs are collector's items. The downloads are gone. They have become digital ghosts. So, where does this leave the canon? Are these stories hard canon, or just authorized fanfiction? We are treating these 12 stories as primary sources. We are analyzing them as declassified mission reports. We need to see if they fit the established timeline, or if they contradict the laws of physics we spent 10 years learning. Let's break down the data. We start with the entries focused on Dr. Daniel Jackson. Michael Shanks returned for several of these, often paired with Claudia Black's Vala Maldoran. If you remember Season 10, you know their dynamic. It was chaotic, rapid-fire, dangerous. The audio dramas pick up that thread and pull it tight. The chemistry is exactly where the show left it. The first major file is Gift of the Gods. Structurally, this feels like a lost episode from the Ori saga. The premise is classic Stargate. The team is pinned down in a good storage facility, but the audio medium allows for a deeper dive into the psychology of the team. On television, you are often distracted by the visual spectacle, the staff blasts, the explosions. Here, you are inside their heads. Without the budget constraints of visual effects, the writers could lean entirely on the actors to sell the environment. You hear the stress in Jackson's voice. You feel the claustrophobia. However, the standout entry in this sector is Shell Game. This is a Daniel and Vala two-hander. The plot involves Vala being accused of a crime she surprisingly didn't commit. This story is crucial because it addresses the Vala problem. In the show, her integration into the SGC was rushed. We went from her being a thief to a member of the elite SG-1 team in the span of a few episodes. In Shell Game, we see the friction. The IOA oversight is heavy. They don't trust her. They treat her like a ticking time bomb. They are waiting for her to slip up so they can lock her away at Area 51. Shanks and Black slip back into these roles effortlessly. The dialogue is sharp, filled with that trademark banter that masked the serious stakes. But from a lore perspective, Shell Game reveals the logistical nightmare of having a former host and a master thief living on a classified military base. It was a disaster waiting to happen. The story forces Daniel to act as her handler, her probation officer, in a way the show often glossed over. Then we have Pathogen. This is a significantly darker entry. It deals with an infectious agent that mimics good possession. It forces the characters to relive the trauma of losing control of their own minds. For Daniel, who has died, ascended, and been possessed more times than we can count, this adds a layer of PTSD that the TV show rarely had time to explore. We often joke about how many times Daniel died, but Pathogen treats the psychological scarring seriously. Verdict on the Jackson files, these fit perfectly into the Season 9 and 10 gaps. There are no contradictions. They flesh out the uneasy alliance between Vala and the SGC command structure. Next, we open the files on the Jaffa. Christopher Judge returns in First Prime, and the farthest reaches First Prime. It is perhaps the most significant piece of lost lore in this entire collection. It isn't just a run-and-gun mission, it is a retrospective. The story oscillates between the present day of the SGC and Teal'c's time serving Apophis. We always viewed the Jaffa through the lens of their rebellion, the Free Jaffa Nation. But first, Prime forces us to look at the atrocities Teal'c committed to maintain his cover before the pilot episode. It validates what we always suspected. The guilt is what drives him. He isn't just fighting for freedom, he is fighting for atonement. The sound design here deserves a special mention. The heavy mechanical thrum of the good motherships, the distinctive snap hiss of the staff weapons, the marching of Jaffa boots. It immerses you immediately. You don't need to see the gold armor to know exactly who is in the room. But the most interesting dynamic appears in Soberna. This pairs Teal'c with Tyrell Rothery's character, but not in the way you think. It involves a communication bridge across deep space. It isolates Teal'c, stripping away his usual support network. The writing here leans into the stoicism. Judge delivers lines with that trademark gravity. He doesn't just read the script, he commands it. It highlights how Teal'c functions when he doesn't have O'Neill or Carter to bounce ideas off of. He becomes the anchor. Then we have the mission file excision. This is where things get messy. Teal'c and Vala are tasked with acquiring an object from a museum on a planet with 1940s level technology. Essentially, it is a heist episode. This highlights the absurdity of the Stargate program. We are technically stealing cultural artifacts from less developed worlds to save the galaxy. Excision plays this for comedy watching. Teal'c trying to blend into a pre-industrial society is always gold, but the undercurrent is dark. It shows the moral flexibility the SGC adopted in the later years. They reason that the ends justify the means. But as we know from the show, that is a slippery slope. The IOA wants results, and they don't care if Teal'c has to break a few local laws to get them. Series 1 and 2 were episodic. Series 3 is where Big Finish tried to build a season-long arc. This comprises 6 stories running from Half-Life to Time's Wheel. The premise: there is a traitor in the SGC. A classic trope, yes, but the execution here is surprisingly tight. It brings back the paranoia of the early seasons. It begins with Half-Life, not the video game. This story reintroduces the concept of cloning and rapid aging, sells a favorite toy of the good ball. The lore implications here are massive. If the good can perfect cloning, every victory the SGC has ever won is temporary. The arc moves through an eye for an eye, infiltration, and excision. It builds a sense of claustrophobia that the show often lacked in its later, more adventurous seasons. In the show, the SGC was a fortress. In these audio dramas, the SGC is a sieve. Information is leaking. Personnel are compromised. The culmination of this arc is duplicity and Time's Wheel. Without spoiling the twist, because you might be able to hunt these down on eBay. The resolution involves a misuse of ancient technology that rivals anything the Trust ever attempted. Time's Wheel deals with the fallout. It touches on the Janus protocols, the idea that messing with time is the ultimate taboo. We know from Stargate Atlantis that Janus was the ancient who ignored the rules. He left the lights on in the laboratory, and humanity walked right in. Here we see humans doing the same reckless experimentation. The Series 3 arc proves that the Mission of the Week format was evolving. They were building something massive, a complex, interwoven narrative that rewarded long-time listeners. And then, the plug was pulled. We never got a Series 4. The conspiracy was resolved, but the potential for future stories was cut short. We need to address the elephant in the gate room, Dr. Janet Fraser. We all know what happened in the episode Heroes. It was definitive. It was heartbreaking. So how is Tyrell Rothery in these dramas? Is this a retcon? A reboot? Big Finish used 2 methods. 1. Flashbacks. Stories set during the early seasons inserted retroactively into the timeline. 2. The multiverse. In stories like Pathogen, we get a narrative that feels like it belongs in Season 4 or 5. It restores the classic dynamic of the base. For fans who felt the show lost its heart when Fraser died, these audio dramas are essential listening. They don't retcon her death, they respect it. They respect it by filling in the days when she was alive. It's a reminder that Stargate was always about the people, not just the wormholes. Tyrell Rothery's performance anchors the sci-fi madness in human stakes. When she talks about medical ethics in the face of alien viruses, you believe her. Hearing her voice again gives you a sense of nostalgia that is hard to describe. It takes you back to the golden era of the show, before the Ori, before the cast changes. It feels like coming home. So, where do we file these 12 missions? In my analysis, these are canon. Status: confirmed. They feature the original cast. They utilize the established writers and logic of the universe. They do not contradict the television show's finale or the direct-to-DVD movies. They represent the lost episodes of Season 10. 5. They are the missions that didn't make the nightly news. The tragedy is not that they were bad. The tragedy is that business politics killed them before they could expand into Atlantis or universe territory. Imagine a Big Finish series for Stargate Universe, giving that crew the ending they deserved, fixing the cliffhanger. It was a missed opportunity of galactic proportions. If you are starving for Stargate content, tracking down these CDs or digital files is worth the effort. They remind us why we fell in love with this team in the first place. They are professional, polished, and unmistakably Stargate. The studio might have closed the door, but for 12 brief hours, the gate was open. What other lost sci-fi media should we declassify? Let us know in the comments below. And if you love deep dives into your favorite sci-fi worlds, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss an expedition.